The world was broken. Ruins of tall buildings stood like skeletons against the red sky. The wind moved through empty streets carrying dust and whispers of a time long gone. In this dead city, among trash and broken machines, lived a blind alien girl. Her name was not known to many. People of her kind rarely spoke to her. They only called her the Blind One. She had been blind since birth. Her eyes were pale, cloudy, and always looking at nothing. But her ears were sharper than most. She could hear the smallest sound, the drop of a metal piece, the hiss of wind through cracks, the soft step of a rat. Every morning, the girl walked slowly with a wooden stick in her hand. She touched the ground and walls to guide her. Her small home was a half-broken room made of stone and metal. She survived by collecting trash. Old wires, broken glass, sharp metal, pieces of forgotten machines all became her treasure. She carried them in a bag made from rags. People laughed at her when she passed. "Blind girl," they mocked. "Why do you collect useless junk? You are worthless." She never answered. She kept walking, her head low, her steps careful. But inside her heart she believed the trash was not useless. When she touched the pieces, she felt something. A faint warmth, a soft vibration like the object still carried a secret life. She did not know what it meant, but she kept them close. At night she sat in silence. She listened to the strange sounds in the distance. Sometimes she thought she heard giant footsteps. Sometimes it was a metallic growl. She could not see. But she felt the world around her was not empty. Something was moving in the dark. Something not from her people. Her people no longer cared. They had given up hope long ago. But she was different. Blindness had made her world quiet. And in that quiet she noticed things others ignored. One evening, when the twin moons rose high, she was in the ruins near an old tower. She was searching for metal. Her hands touched broken pipes, sharp edges, cold stone. Then suddenly she felt something unusual. It was smooth, round, and heavier than the usual junk. She held it close. The object was cold at first, but then it gave a faint hum like a heartbeat. The girl froze. Her ears picked up another sound, the distant echo of footsteps. Not the steps of her people. These were different, heavy, careful, echoing with weight. Her breath caught in her chest. She hid behind a wall of stone, pressing the object against her chest. She listened carefully. The sound grew closer. Metal scraping on rock. A grunt of pain. Then silence, her heart beat fast. Was it one of the shadow creatures she had only heard in whispers? Or was it something worse? She crouched low, holding her stick tightly. She could not fight. She had no weapon, no power. Only her sharp ears and the courage to stay still. The air grew colder. Dust moved in the wind. Somewhere near, something alive was breathing. Minutes passed. The footsteps faded away. The silence returned, but the girl did not move. She stayed there until the moons had climbed higher. Finally, she returned to her small room. She placed the strange object in her bag of treasures and tried to sleep. But sleep did not come. That night, the blind girl dreamed of light. A light she had never seen. A light that burned through the shadows. She did not know what it meant. But deep inside, she felt her life was about to change. Next morning, she woke with a strange feeling. She sat outside her broken room, holding the object again. Her ears caught a distant sound in the sky. Not footsteps, not wind. Something bigger. A roar, a crash, a scream of metal tearing apart. The ground shook. Dust rained down from the old buildings. She covered her ears, scared but curious. The sound came from the far side of the ruins near the trash fields she often searched. She gripped her stick and stood. Her legs shook. She was afraid. But she was also drawn by something stronger than fear. She wanted to know. She wanted to discover. Slowly, carefully, she walked toward the sound. Her stick touched broken stones, guiding her. Her ears guided her more. Every step closer made the humming object in her bag vibrate harder, as if calling her forward. The blind girl did not know what had fallen from the sky. She did not know who or what was waiting there, but her story was about to begin. The blind alien girl walked carefully through the ruins. The crash she had heard in the night still echoed in her mind. Smoke touched the air, sharp and bitter. Her ears caught strange sounds, metal creaking, fire crackling, and something heavy shifting on the ground. Her hands trembled, but her legs carried her forward. The humming object in her bag grew warmer, as if alive, guiding her toward the noise. She had never felt this before. It was as if the object wanted her to find something. The ground was rough, filled with broken glass and sharp stones. She used her stick to feel the path. With every step, the strange smell grew stronger. Burnt iron, hot oil, and blood. At last, she reached the place. She stopped. Her ears caught the sound of fire. Sparks jumped. Metal hissed, and then she heard it. A low groan. A sound of pain. It was not the growl of a machine. It was not the hiss of wind. It was a voice. She froze, her heart racing. Someone was alive. Someone who was not from her people. She pressed her back against a fallen wall and listened. The voice came again, weak and broken. A few words escaped, words she did not understand. The language was strange, hard, heavy, yet filled with life. Her people had always said the ruins were cursed, that only shadows lived there now. But this was no shadow. This was flesh and blood. Slowly she stepped forward. Her stick tapped the ground. The sound of her footsteps made the groan stop. The stranger had heard her. "Who's there?" The voice rasped. She did not know the words, but she felt the meaning. Fear and need mixed inside it. She tightened her grip on the stick and moved closer. Her hand touched something soft, not stone, not metal. Fabric. Her fingers brushed a warm arm, trembling. The figure jerked, gasping in shock. The girl pulled back, afraid. But the man, the human, spoke again. His words were softer this time, uncertain. He did not push her away. She knelt beside him, touching his chest. His heartbeat was strong but uneven. His clothes were torn, soaked with blood. Her hands shook, but she pressed against his wounds with the rags she carried. She did not know who he was. She did not know if he was dangerous. But she could not walk away. The man groaned but did not fight her. He let her help. Minutes passed. She tore cloth from her bag, wrapped it around him and tied it tight. Her people had never taught her such things, but life in the ruins had taught her how to stop bleeding. The man breathed heavily. His voice whispered again. She could not understand. But she understood his tone, gratitude, relief. When his breathing grew steadier, she sat near him. Her pale eyes turned toward the fire, though she could not see. The silence between them was heavy. Only the crackle of flames filled the air. The man studied her face. Her white eyes, her calm hands, her thin figure in rags. He realized she was blind, a blind alien girl in a dead city, yet she was saving his life. His chest tightened. Of all the beings to find him, why her? He reached into the small bag at his side. His hand brushed something, smooth glass with thin metal arms. Glasses. He stopped himself. She could not see. What good would they be? Yet for some reason he felt the strange thought. Maybe, just maybe, they could help her, but not now. He was too weak. She was too cautious. Trust had not yet been built. Instead, he pulled out a small device. It sparked, broken, half dead. He tapped it and a faint light blinked. The girl heard the click. She tilted her head, curious. He showed it to her, speaking soft words. She could not see it, but she touched it. Her fingers traced the metal, the broken edges, the faint hum. She smiled faintly. Not useless, she whispered in her own tongue. The man did not understand her words, but he understood her smile. It was the first time since the crash that he felt hope. They sat together, silent but connected by need. A blind girl who had nothing and a human far from home. Above them, the smoke rose into the red sky. Far away, hidden in the ruins, cold machines stirred. Their red eyes blinked awake, drawn by the fire and the noise. The girl's ears picked up faint metallic footsteps again. Her head turned sharply. Danger was near. She gripped her stick and stood. Her other hand gently touched the man's arm, telling him without words, "Be silent." "Stay low," the man nodded. He followed her lead, trusting her sharp ears. Together they crawled into the shadows of the ruins, hiding from the sound of metal hunters. The girl did not know this human. She did not know where he came from. But something deep inside told her. Her life had just changed forever, and the shadows would not let them rest. The night was long and cold. The blind alien girl sat beside the injured human, listening to his breathing. Each breath was heavy, uneven, but alive. She had moved him into a broken shelter, a collapsed hall with half a roof still standing. Fire crackled faintly in a metal container, its warmth keeping the night chill away. She could not see the flames, but she could hear them dance. She could feel the heat on her skin. And every few minutes her ears caught another sound, the distant echo of metal steps hunting through the ruins. The enemy was near but not yet close. The human tried to speak. His voice was weak, his words broken. She did not understand his language, but she understood his struggle. She gave him water, lifting a rusted container to his lips. He drank slowly, then leaned back, whispering something soft. She tilted her head. Her cloudy eyes stared into nothing, but her ears read his tone. He was thankful. For the first time, the girl did not feel alone. At dawn, the human stirred again. His strength was returning. He sat up slowly, wincing in pain. His blue eyes studied the girl. She was sitting cross-legged, holding pieces of scrap in her hands, running her fingers across them as if reading their secret stories. The man realized something then. She was not only blind. She had built her own world of sound and touch. She had survived alone in a city of death, and still she had saved him. His hand went to his bag. Inside the object waited. Thin metal arms, clear glass lenses, glasses. A simple human tool made to correct weak eyes. He had carried them for years, a backup pair. To him they were nothing special. To her they might mean everything, but would they even work? Her eyes were not human. Her world was different. He hesitated, still something in him pushed forward. Slowly, carefully, he took out the glasses. The metal glinted in the faint morning light. The girl turned her head toward the sound. She heard the soft click of the case, the tiny scrape of glass. She frowned. "What is that?" she whispered in her own tongue, though she knew he would not understand. The man moved closer. He held the glasses in front of her. "Try," he said softly, his voice gentle. She tilted her head, confused. Her hand reached out, trembling. Her fingers brushed the cold metal, the smooth lenses. She felt the strange shape. She frowned again. "What is this?" she whispered, her words trembling. The man gave a small smile. He lifted the glasses and slowly placed them on her face. The thin arms rested over her ears. The lenses settled before her pale eyes. The girl gasped. For a moment nothing happened. Then light. Her cloudy world of sound and darkness flickered. A faint glow touched her vision. Shapes, colors, shadows. She blinked rapidly, her breath quickening. She lifted her hands in shock. She could see her own fingers trembling before her eyes. She cried out, a sharp sound of wonder and fear. Tears welled up. For the first time in her life, she saw fire. The orange glow danced before her. She saw the man's face, tired, wounded, yet alive. She saw the broken walls, the ruined ground, the morning sky painted with red and gold. She covered her mouth with her hands and sobbed. I can see. The human did not understand her words, but he understood her tears. His chest tightened. He had given her something greater than survival. He had given her sight. The girl looked everywhere, her eyes wide. Every color, every shadow felt like a miracle. She stared at the fire for long minutes, laughing and crying at once. She looked at the human again and touched his face, seeing his eyes, his scars, his strange human smile. "You," she whispered, voice shaking. "You gave me the stars." But joy never lasts long in the ruins. As she gazed at the light, her eyes caught something else. Far away, beyond the broken roof, she saw movement. Dark figures against the horizon. Her heart froze. The enemy. Machines with glowing red eyes. Their bodies tall, sharp, made of iron and hate. They were searching. And they were coming closer. Her smile faded. The gift of sight had given her beauty. And danger. Now she could see the nightmare her ears had only guessed. She grabbed the man's arm. Her eyes, once blind, now burned with urgency. "We must go," she said in a trembling voice. Even though he did not understand the words, he understood the fear in her tone. The man followed her gaze. His jaw tightened. He knew those machines too well. He stood, wincing from his wounds, and picked up a broken metal rod as a weapon. She grabbed her stick. But this time the stick was not her eyes, it was only a tool. Her true eyes were open now. The blind girl was blind no more. The machines drew closer, their heavy steps shaking the earth. Smoke rose from their bodies, and their red eyes pierced the ruins. The girl's heart pounded. She had seen light, color, and the face of her first friend. But she also saw the shadows of death moving toward them. The gift of sight was a miracle. But it was also a curse. Her new world had only begun, and already it was under threat. For the first time in her life, the alien girl walked with open eyes. Every step was a wonder. She saw cracked stone beneath her feet, broken towers leaning into the sky, and rivers of smoke rising from old fires. Things she had only touched or heard before now filled her vision with colors and shapes. But beauty came with terror, because now she also saw the shadows. They were not ghosts, as she once imagined. They were machines, tall, cruel things of black iron and glowing red eyes. Their legs moved with heavy steps. Their arms ended in claws sharp as knives. Their heads turned with a metallic hiss, scanning every corner. The girl's body froze when she saw them. Her heart hammered in her chest. She had always feared the noises she heard in the dark, but now she knew the truth. The noises belonged to monsters made of steel. The human touched her shoulder, pulling her down behind a broken wall. His eyes were sharp, alert. He whispered words she still could not understand, but she understood his meaning. Be silent. Stay low. Together they crawled through the rubble. The machines were hunting, their red lights sweeping across the ruins like eyes of fire. The girl held her stick tight, her breath shallow. Her ears, once her only guide, still worked better than her eyes. She heard the faint hum of the machines, the grind of gears, the sharp clank of their steps. She pulled the human's arm, leading him away before the shadows could find them. For the first time, the human realized she was not just a helpless child. Blind or not, she knew these ruins better than anyone. She moved like the stones themselves spoke to her. Now, with her sight added, she was even more dangerous to the hunters. They slipped into a hidden passage, an old tunnel filled with junk and dust. The girl's eyes widened. She had always thought her treasures were just broken things, but now she could see. The pieces of metal she had collected were not only trash. Some glowed faintly with strange energy. Some were shaped with symbols and lights. Her heart leapt. Not useless, she whispered. The human followed her gaze. He recognized the pieces at once. They were old technology, scattered ruins of machines once built to fight the very shadows now hunting them. His jaw tightened. If only they could repair one. The girl picked up a small shard, glowing faintly blue. It buzzed in her palm like it was alive. She turned it over, fascinated. Then she looked at the man, her white-blue eyes now full of fire. I told them, she whispered to herself. Not useless. Suddenly the ground shook. The tunnel walls rattled. The machines had found their trail. The girl gasped. She grabbed the man's hand and pulled him deeper into the passage. Her eyes darted everywhere, searching for a path. For the first time, her sight betrayed her. She saw too much, too many shapes, too much chaos. Her heart panicked, then she stopped. She closed her eyes. She listened. The world became quiet again. She heard the faint drip of water on stone. She heard the hiss of a machine scraping against walls. She heard the man's ragged breathing. And beneath it all, she heard the hum of the glowing shard in her hand. Her ears guided her once more. She found a side path and pulled the man through it. Just before a machine claw crashed into the tunnel entrance. Rocks fell, dust filled the air. The girl coughed, clutching the shard. Her eyes opened again. This time she balanced sight and sound together. And suddenly she was stronger. They reached a chamber deep inside the ruins. Here, piles of her collected trash lay scattered. But to her eyes it was no trash. It was a graveyard of ancient machines, their parts still humming faintly with hidden life. The human's eyes widened. His hand touched a half-broken weapon, a cannon covered in dust. It was dead, but not fully. He spoke quickly, his voice filled with urgency. She did not understand the words, but she understood the look in his eyes. These pieces were not just junk. They were hope. The girl knelt before a long, broken staff glowing faint green. She touched it. The hum grew louder, matching the beat of her heart. When she lifted it, light flickered across its surface. Symbols glowed faintly. For the first time, she felt power in her hands. Not just scraps, but something meant for battle. Her fingers tightened. The staff hummed louder as if it recognized her. The man stared at her, stunned. He had thought she was only a survivor. But now, holding that weapon, she looked like something more. Like a spark in the ruins, a small warrior awakening. The machines outside screeched, their claws tearing deeper into the tunnels. The girl stood, her thin figure trembling but her eyes burning with new courage. She had been blind all her life. She had been mocked, left behind, called useless. But now she could see, and what she saw was clear. If they did nothing, the shadows would consume everything. She turned to the human. Her voice was steady, even though fear still lived inside her. We fight. He did not understand her language, but he understood her eyes. And in that moment, the blind girl was no longer just a child. She was the one who had found light in the ruins. The tunnels were quiet again. Dust floated in the air, glowing faintly in the green light of the broken staff the girl now carried. The machines had pulled back, at least for the moment. The human leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. His wound still hurt, but his eyes stayed fixed on the girl. She stood with the glowing staff in her hands, her face pale yet filled with fire. For the first time, she did not look like a blind, helpless child. She looked like someone born to stand against the shadows, but her hands trembled. She had never held a weapon before. Her people had never trusted her with anything sharp, anything dangerous. Now the fate of their survival rested in her fragile grip. The human stepped closer, speaking softly. His words were strange, but his tone was steady, patient. He touched the staff, then pointed at her hands. He shook his head gently, showing her how not to hold it. Then he moved her grip, guiding her fingers into the right place. She frowned, watching him. Her eyes followed his every move. For the first time, she could see how someone taught, not just hear, and it changed everything. He showed her how to stand, how to balance her feet, how to strike. His movements were slow, careful, so she could copy. She tried, clumsy at first, but then steadier. The girl laughed suddenly, a small, bright sound. "I can learn," she whispered. The human smiled faintly. He did not know her words, but he knew her meaning. He tapped his chest, then pointed at her. "Together," he said. She repeated it slowly, her voice shaky but brave. There. The word felt heavy in her mouth, but warm in her heart. Days passed in the ruins. They hid, moved, trained. The girl learned quickly. Her sharp ears guided her, warning her before the machines came close. Her new sight showed her dangers she had never known. And the human gave her knowledge. How to fight, how to use broken parts, how to stay alive against hunters that seemed unstoppable. At night, they sat near small fires. The man spoke about his world, pointing to the stars above. She did not understand the language, but she understood the stories in his eyes. A world far away, blue and green, full of oceans and skies she had never seen. She told her own story in her tongue. How her people had abandoned her. How she had survived alone, gathering scraps. How she had believed trash carried hidden life. The man listened, nodding. Even though words failed, trust grew between them like a bridge across two worlds. For the first time, she was not alone. But peace never lasted long. One evening, as the sky burned red, the machines returned. Their glowing eyes lit the ruins as they searched. The girl and the man ran through broken streets, hiding in shadows. At last they were trapped in a dead square. 3 machines stood at the exits, their claws scraping the stone, sparks flying. The human raised his broken metal rod, ready to fight, but he was weak. His wound slowed him. His arms shook. He could not survive this battle. The girl gripped the glowing staff. Fear swallowed her, but something deeper burned beneath it. She remembered the laughter of those who mocked her. She remembered the silence of her empty nights. She remembered the first time she saw fire, color, and the man's tired smile. "No more," she whispered. The machines advanced, their steps shaking the ground. Their red eyes focused on her, hungry and cruel. The staff in her hands began to hum louder. The glow brightened, pulsing like a heartbeat. The girl gasped. She felt warmth running through her arms, into her chest, into her very blood. The staff responded to her fear. No, her courage. The light exploded. A wave of green fire blasted from the staff, crashing into the nearest machine. The iron monster screamed, its body burning with strange energy before collapsing in smoke and sparks. The girl's eyes widened. She had not meant to do it. But the weapon had chosen her. The other 2 machines shrieked and attacked. The human tried to step forward, but the girl pushed him back. Her thin figure stood in the center of the ruined square, staff glowing like a star in the night. She raised it high, her voice shaking but filled with fire. "You will not take us." The staff blazed again. Bolts of energy tore through the machines, shattering their claws, breaking their bodies into twisted heaps of iron. When the light faded, silence fell. Smoke drifted in the air. The ruins were quiet once more. The girl collapsed to her knees, gasping, her hands shaking from the power. The human rushed to her side, holding her shoulders. His eyes were wide, not with fear, but with awe. She looked at him, her tears glowing in the light of the dying staff. I can fight," she whispered. The man nodded. His voice was low, firm, filled with respect. Yes, and in that moment she was no longer just the blind girl who collected trash. She was the warrior of the ruins. The ruins did not sleep. Even after the machines were destroyed, their screams echoed through the city. Smoke curled into the sky, carrying a message to all other hunters. Prey was here. The alien girl and the human knew it. The shadows would return, stronger, angrier, endless. They had little time. The girl stood in the broken square, staff still glowing faintly in her hand. Her knees were weak, her chest burned from the power, but her eyes were alive. For the first time, she did not see herself as useless. She had fought, and she had won. The human touched her shoulder. He pointed at the stars, then at a small device in his bag. The communicator. Broken but not dead. If he could repair it, maybe he could call for help. She nodded. She understood. They had to survive until rescue came. Together they returned to the chamber where her treasures lay. What once was trash was now a battlefield of parts. The girl's hands moved quickly, guided by both sight and memory. She tied wires into loops, setting them across narrow passages. She placed sharp metal spikes beneath piles of dust. She used containers filled with broken glass as alarms, ready to shatter and ring when stepped on. The human watched her work. He had taught her how to hold a weapon, but now he realized she needed no teacher in survival. She had lived in these ruins all her life. She knew how to turn garbage into shields, scraps into traps, silence into warning. He repaired his communicator as she worked. Sparks jumped as he twisted wires together. The small device hummed weakly, its light flickering. Not enough. It needed more power. The girl looked at the glowing shard she had found earlier. She placed it beside the device. The hum grew louder, the light stronger. The man's eyes widened. He smiled for the first time since the crash. Hope night fell. The ruins grew quiet again. Too quiet. The girl's ears picked up faint vibrations. The machines were moving. Many this time. More than before, she tightened her grip on the staff. The glow answered her, flickering brighter with her heartbeat. The human stood beside her, his communicator in one hand, a makeshift weapon in the other. His eyes met hers. No words were needed. Together they were ready. The first machine stepped into the passage. Its claws scraped the wall. Its red eyes glowed like fire in the dark. It took another step. And then, snap. The girl's wire trap pulled tight around its legs. The machine shrieked as it crashed to the floor. She leapt forward, staff glowing, and struck. Green fire exploded, tearing the machine apart. Another hunter entered. Glass shattered under its feet, the sound ringing like a scream. The girl spun, her ears following the noise even faster than her eyes. She aimed the staff and light burst, sending the machine flying back into the shadows. But more came. 1, 2, 3. A swarm of red eyes filled the tunnel. Their claws tore the stone, their bodies shook the ground. The air filled with the sound of gears and hate. The human shouted, his voice sharp. He swung his weapon, striking one machine aside. He was brave, but he was only one man. The girl's heart pounded. Fear pressed against her chest, but fire rose to meet it. She planted her feet, raised the staff, and screamed. The staff answered. Light exploded in all directions, filling the tunnel with a storm of green fire. Machines shrieked as their iron bodies burned. The air shook with the power. The ruins trembling like the earth itself feared her. For a moment, silence followed. Smoke filled the tunnel. Broken machines lay scattered, their red eyes dark. The girl fell to her knees, gasping. The staff dimmed, its power fading. She was exhausted, her hands shaking. The human rushed to her side, holding her up. His communicator beeped faintly. He had done it. The signal was sent. Above the ruins, high in the night sky, a small star blinked, a human ship answering the call. But hope was fragile. The ground shook again. Louder this time, heavier. The girl's eyes widened. From the smoke, a shadow appeared. Taller than the others, thicker, covered in black armor. Its eyes burned brighter than fire, a leader. A monster. The human stepped forward, ready to fight, but he was too weak. His wound slowed him. If he faced this giant, he would fall. The girl gripped the staff tighter. Her body trembled, her breath weak, but her eyes burned with fire. She had been blind once. She had been mocked, left alone. But now she could see, and she would not let the shadows win. The great machine roared, its claws slamming into the ground. Sparks and dust exploded around them. The girl raised the staff, standing between the monster and the human. She was small, fragile, trembling. But her spirit was unbroken. The ruins would remember this moment. The blind girl was no longer blind. She was the light in the shadows. and her final battle was only beginning. The ground shook beneath her feet. The great machine stepped out from the smoke, taller than a house, its body covered in black armor. Its claws gleamed, dripping with sparks. Its red eyes blazed like burning suns. The alien girl tightened her grip on the glowing staff. Her legs trembled. Her breath came short, but her heart burned like fire. She would not step back. Not now. Behind her, the human raised his broken weapon, his body weak from wounds. He wanted to fight, but he knew the truth. This battle belonged to her. The girl whispered to herself, steadying her spirit. "I was blind, but now I see," the monster roared. Its claw slammed against the ground, sending cracks through the stone. Dust rained from above. The ruin shook as if the city itself feared the shadow. The girl lifted the staff. It hummed louder, glowing brighter than ever before. But it was heavy. The power inside it was wild, like fire trying to escape. The human touched her arm. His voice was quiet but firm. "You can do this." She turned to him, her pale blue eyes glowing in the green light. She did not know his words, but she understood his trust, and that was enough. The machine lunged. The girl jumped aside, rolling across the broken ground. The claw smashed into the floor where she had stood, shattering stone into shards. She stumbled, but she rose again, staff ready. The monster turned its burning eyes on her. It charged, fast for its size, each step thundering like a drum of war. The girl spun the staff. Energy flickered. A beam of green fire shot forward, striking the monster's chest. Sparks exploded, but the armor held. Her eyes widened. It was stronger than the others. The human shouted, pointing at the glowing joints in its legs, weaker spots hidden beneath the armor. The girl understood. She dashed forward, dodging another claw, and struck. The staff screamed with light. The monster's knee cracked, metal bending, sparks flying. It howled, staggering. But it was not finished. Its massive arm swung, hitting the girl across the ground. Pain burned through her body as she crashed into a wall. The staff rolled from her hands, flickering weakly. She gasped, struggling to stand. Her vision blurred. Her legs shook. The monster loomed over her, claws raised for the final strike. The human cried out, running toward her. He raised his weapon, but the claw knocked him down like a rag doll. Blood stained the ground. "No," the girl screamed, her voice breaking. Something inside her snapped. Not fear, not despair, but a fire deeper than both. She had been mocked all her life, called useless, thrown away like trash. But this human, a stranger from the stars, had trusted her. He had given her sight, given her hope, given her a reason to fight. She would not let him die. She reached out. The staff trembled on the ground, glowing faintly. Her hand stretched toward it, her heart screaming for it to rise, and then it answered. The staff flew into her grip, blazing with light so bright it painted the ruins green. Energy surged through her body, lifting her to her feet. The monster froze, its red eyes narrowing. The girl roared, raising the staff high. The power exploded, brighter and stronger than before. Her thin figure stood like a star in the darkness, light pouring from her as if the ruins themselves had chosen her. She struck. A wave of fire tore through the monster, burning its armor, shattering its claws. It screamed, a sound of metal breaking, gears grinding, hatred dying. The green light carved through its chest, and with a final explosion, the great shadow fell. The ground shook as its massive body collapsed. Its red eyes dimmed into darkness. Silence returned. The girl fell to her knees, gasping. The staff dimmed, finally resting. She was trembling, her body weak, but she was alive. The human crawled to her side, blood on his face but still breathing. He placed a hand on her shoulder, his eyes full of awe. She looked at him, tears streaming down her face. We won," he smiled faintly. Yes. Above them, the night sky glowed. A ship descended, engines humming, lights bright. The human signal had been answered. Rescue had come. The girl stared at the ship, her eyes wide with wonder. She had never seen such a thing. A door opened, figures stepped out, more humans. They rushed to help their wounded friend, but their eyes also turned to her. A small alien girl holding a staff that glowed like fire, standing among the wreckage of destroyed machines. They looked at her not with pity, but with respect. The human spoke to them, his voice weak but certain. He pointed at the girl. His words carried weight even if she did not understand. "She is the reason I'm alive. She's the reason I'm here." One of the humans stepped forward, offering the girl a hand. She hesitated, then took it. For the first time, someone lifted her not as a burden but as an equal. The human beside her smiled. He reached into his bag and touched the glasses he had given her. He whispered softly, a promise meant only for her. You were never broken. You only needed to see what you truly are. Her tears fell, but she was smiling. The ship rose into the sky, carrying them away from the ruins. Below, the dead city slept again. But a legend had been born. The story of the blind alien girl who once collected trash. Until a human gave her sight, and in that sight she became a hero. Her journey was not an end, but a beginning. The stars waited. The future waited. The light would rise again.